OK, moving on. Senior figures in Rishi Sunak's government are reportedly considering putting the UK on the road to a Swiss-style relationship with the EU. The government's former Brexit negotiator, Lord Frost, voiced his displeasure at the plans on Twitter, warning, "I hope the government thinks better of these plans fast." But Rishi Sunak has denied that they are doing anything like this, saying, "I voted for Brexit. I believe in Brexit." Well, let's talk to Pieter Cleppe, who is the editor-in-chief at Brussels Report. Good morning, Peter. Thank you for joining us. Can you clarify for our viewers and our listeners, who will be slightly on tenterhooks, a little nervous if you voted for Brexit, to hear that these conversations are going on, what is the relationship that Switzerland has with the EU? How does that work?
Well, basically, Switzerland has a deal that it does not enjoy full access to the EU market, but only partial access in return for taking over selected EU regulations. So if the United Kingdom would do that, yes, it would gain more access to the EU market, which would be good, but it would sacrifice sovereignty because for selected economic sectors, it would no longer be able to set its own regulations, but it would be forced to take over the regulations of the European Union without being able to have a say over it.
How does it affect migration? If we were to have the same deal as Switzerland, what would that mean for the movement of people in the UK and across from Europe?
The Swiss, they have agreed freedom of movement with the European Union. So that would be, let's say, also a step back in terms of sovereignty for the UK. However, in the leaks by the Sunday Times, it's described that the UK government or the people working or supposedly working on this would not be demanding or would be demanding not to have freedom of movement included in this. So, I mean, fundamentally, the Swiss deal is pick and choose. That's why actually the European Union does not really like it. It has been trying to reform the deal, but so far it has failed to convince the Swiss.
Objectively speaking, Peter, do you think that Brexit has had a negative impact on the UK?
Well, I think it's hard to deny that the extra friction that you now have on trade between the EU and the UK has, of course, an economic cost. We can argue how high that economic cost is. But secondly, I think it's also important to stress that the United Kingdom has not yet exploited the opportunities offered by Brexit. So I think, Brexit was always a second best. In the first best, the EU would have listened to the UK concerns and would have reformed back to a proper, arrangement to scrap trade barriers. But the UK has not engaged in full-scale deregulation. It has not, for example, scrapped the GDPR, innovation hostile EU regulations. It has not waded into alleviating the chemical industry from the EU REACH regulations. And typically, industry is not demanding that because they have invested so much money into complying with these regulations. So I predict that when the EU will update these regulations that the UK has taken over, then we may see, but that's of course a long-term thing, benefits of Brexit in the sense that then the British will not take over some of the hostile, innovation hostile regulations of the EU.
OK, thank you, Peter. Pieter Cleppe there, editor-in-chief at Brussels Report. Now, one person who is furious about these reports is the deputy leader of UKIP, Rebecca Jane, who joins me now, regular face on GBNews. Rebecca, lovely to see you as always. So, as the deputy leader of UKIP, what did you make of it when you heard these rumours that emerged this weekend that perhaps somebody somewhere within the Conservative Party is flirting with the idea of getting into bed with Europe in a Swiss way?
Morning, Bev. Of course they are. Not remotely surprised. This was Rishi's plan all along, I suspect. We're being betrayed every possible way. And just when you didn't think that trust in the current government could get any lower, it has. 17 million people, over 17 million people obviously voted for Brexit, and their wishes and their what they actually want is being completely denied. And now Rishi is trying to appease his pals and doing what he wants because he operates for the 1% and not the 99%, unlike the rest of us.
So we've heard at the Confederation of British Industry today and yesterday, Rebecca. We heard from Sunak yesterday, we heard from Keir Starmer today. They are both being, let's just say, cautious around the issue of immigration because they know how divisive it is to the electorate in this country. But what I found really interesting was that all three questions from the media to both of them, yesterday and today, started with business needs more migration. We need more immigration in order to fulfil this jobs shortage. What's your perspective on that problem?
No, I disagree. I dread to, agree with anything that really Keir Starmer says, but on this occasion, I think that he has a point that actually, rather than looking to Brexit is the thing that they now want to pinpoint as the saviour to all of our problems. It's not. If we reverse Brexit or we start doing any kind of Swiss agreements, it's not going to help our labour market. What we actually need to do is look after the people that are in our country now, pay them properly, give them the rights that we want to be giving them and that are right for them, rather than saying, let's have more immigration. Because where on earth is that okay in any stretch of anybody's imagination? Let's get other people in from other countries so we can pay them less. No, let's just pay our people more and properly. They work hard for us. Why on earth are we talking about filling gaps for our people with people from other countries just because they accept less? It's ridiculous.
Now, this is something that I think you will have a take on with your previous work before you were involved in politics. We've got 2.5 million people in the UK now who are not at work, but who are of working age, so between 16 and 64. And that has gone up by 500,000 since 2019. And the reason being is that they are long-term sick. They are not well enough to go to work. A lot of that will be mental health related post-lockdown. What would UKIP do about that, Rebecca?
I'm very vocal on this one. So I don't believe that businesses should be shying away from the responsibility of mental health of their employees. Personally, I think that we should make all businesses responsible for looking after the mental health of their employees, giving them private care, and therefore the NHS will be left for the people that desperately do need it and have nowhere else to turn. But we have to start taking responsibility somewhere, and we have to start doing something to help save our NHS, because right now it's broken for many reasons. But one of those is that business owners need to be taking responsibility for their employees and helping them to live happier and healthier lives. And right now, they don't.
Do you think that's one of the changes that you've brought to UKIP, Rebecca, in your position? Because I don't remember that being a UKIP policy before you arrived, that we have to prioritise the mental health of British workers.
Yeah, absolutely it is, because, we're about people and we're not about politics, as obviously I keep on ranting on and saying. And that's my thing, is that, I'm not one of these technology wizards. That's just not what I've ever been about. I'm about people, and I'm about helping people and listening to them, which is why things like Brexit are important to me, because we voted in our masses to leave. Mental health is hugely, I'm never going to be all right with the fact that somebody can go to a doctor's surgery and be told that they can have therapy in 9 months' time. How is that acceptable? If you get told that your broken leg's not getting fixed for 9 months, there'd be absolute uproar. But for some bizarre reason, mental health seems to be completely and utterly forgotten. So, yes, it is a new thing for UKIP, but it is very much something that I'm very passionate about, because it is my arena. It's my job.
Well, it's good to see good people in politics, Rebecca Jane. We need more of you. So good luck with what you're doing.